Hi everybody, my name is Guillaume Rocher. I'm a Dynamics Analyst here with Azure Group. My job is to really help customers discover all of that Dynamics can bring to them and their companies, and really help them maximize their usage of all the functionalities. So I know it can be a really daunting and intimidating process when you're looking for a new solution, whether that's an ERP or a CRM. So hopefully I'm here to help you figure out a little bit of how to use them and if this would be a good fit for your company.
Welcome, Guillaume. I'm super excited to have you on this webinar series. So as always, hi everyone. My name is Taruna and I'm the SMB Biz Apps Lead at Microsoft Canada. So in this episode, as promised, we are bringing you a specific journey, so the sales and marketing persona, and this will be very much focused on how we drive sales and marketing through Business Central. As we kind of mentioned in previous episode, we'll have kind of a deep dive in all the different personas later on. So stay tuned for a deep dive with finance and accounting, operation, even the CEO and IT group. So basically just subscribe so that you can get all the notifications.
So on the demonstration today, we're going to show you the journey of two of our personas, as Taruna mentioned, Sally, which is our sales rep, and Julie, which is her marketing manager. So we're going to be exploring how they interact with Business Central across their day and what functionalities they really make use of and makes their life easier.
So Sally starts her day in sales, of course, and she's getting all of these incoming leads and also new contact information. She basically reaches out to her leads, understand what their furniture needs are, and tries to basically create an opportunity from that. Of course, because these are all new contacts, she also updates her contact information and also schedules an appointment to further along the lead.
So Sally here can use her mobile phone if she's working mobilely to really get into her contacts, right? So the user interface for Business Central is very intuitive. Right from the get-go, if you look at the first image, you can see her list of contacts. And so once you enter those contacts with a simple touch, you can then see all of the details on that contact. So create a new one, change the information, maybe update the email address from the company email to something more personal if you've got into that kind of relationship. And it's really just a very, very smooth user interface. And from there, you can create your interaction. So if you had a call or an email or any sort of interaction for your sales process where you want to capture this information, you can do that directly. Just as you see on the third image, you can create an interaction. Or if you're lucky, you can even create that opportunity if your contact is telling you, hey, I'd like to buy some furniture. So this is something that Sally can really take advantage of. And what's really nice is that all of this is really contributing to having the data inside Business Central, right? Logging that data for interactions, for opportunities, all this really crucial data that's going to flow to the rest of the sales pipeline and then into the analytics, right? And something else that I really like about Business Central, if you look at image number 4, is that Business Central will suggest automatically next actions. So that can mean, for example, creating an opportunity after you've had an interaction. And what's really important about this feature, for example, is that a lot of time data can be missing when entry. And so this is a reminder that you can configure for people to do their data entry. So, hey, you've had this call with a client, it went really well. Should you be creating an opportunity? And so this really contributes to having the data flow through the pipeline. So Sally's not only being productive here, she's having everything done on her mobile phone, but she's also making sure that the data inside the system is really solid and really coherent. So I just really like this feature. Everything flows. It's really nice. I think Sal's going to enjoy this.
So now that Sally is meeting her lead, she can better understand what the opportunity can potentially look like. In order to further nurture her lead, she basically can create a quote right from her phone to send over to her prospect. And then she can also look into the availability of the 10 black chairs that were requested of Model X. And of course, make sure that her quote is reflecting those 10 chairs of Model X. And if this meeting was billable, she can even invoice the meeting directly through her email. And so since the lead is potentially purchasing over $3,000, she's informed that she can actually apply a special offer. The special offer can be anything, whether it's best price policy or a new customer policy. Basically, as a sales rep, you're given an array of options that you can choose from in order to make the deal more lucrative for the prospect. And so there are all sorts of discounts that you can apply. It's really up to you and your business to choose the right one, and the system will make sure that your sales rep are being guided along the way in the process. So in this instance, Sally decides to apply a new customer discount.
So still on her mobile, as you mentioned, Taruna, she can check inventory, and this can be really important when, as a salesperson, you're trying to really get those details, right? So sometimes the problem we have is we have very siloed systems, and so when you're on sales, you can tell all the products you're able to sell, but you're not sure, do you have them? Do you need to produce them? Do you need to order them? Are they available? And this kind of silos can really lead to complications in the sales relationship down the road. You send those 10 chairs, but actually your company can't actually deliver them until way later than discussed. So being able to check inventory, being able to really move things along is super crucial. And as you mentioned, everything's sending from the email since she's working on mobile. That's thanks to the integration with Outlook. So Business Central integrates with Outlook seamlessly. And what's really cool about this is that you can do it both ways, which means you can work from Outlook and attach sales quotes, as you see on the picture here, or sales invoices or orders. All of that can be done through Outlook. It'll recognize order numbers or contacts, and it will just suggest documents. Super intuitive, super smart program. But on the same side, if you were working in Business Central, then you have an option where you can email your contact, the sales order directly. So both systems work hand in hand so that you can be productive no matter which screen you're on. So you don't need to constantly be switching back to my email. Did I attach the right document? Right back to Business Central. Did I download the right document for file? No, everything is seamlessly attached, and that really reduces error. It increases efficiency because you don't have to change screens so much. It's just a really cool feature. And lastly, as you mentioned, everything that's regarding price policy. So you have so many options here. You can configure all types of customer groups, all types of dimensions. Is it for retail? Is it for wholesale? Are they, large companies, small companies? Is it a gold membership? Whatever you want. And your sales rep are able to see exactly what offers are available, or what they need to qualify. Do they need to add 2 more orders? So Sally here can even upsell to the customer and say, hey, look, if you buy 2 more black chairs, you get a better deal. So I really think you should add that to your purchase order. So it's really very intuitive and really boosting the efficiency in the sales processes. So really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and Guillaume, I really like that feature because I think there's so many complex processes these days in sales, much more than there were maybe 10, 20 years ago. And so for a salesperson, it's really hard to kind of keep track of all of these different options that are available. And so if your system is actually guiding you through the sales process, I find that to be actually quite productive.
Yeah, especially if you have many different agreements with different customers. You might need to do a little bit of customization, but the backbone of Business Central is already so well adapted that with a little tweaking, you can even customize your offers to be very, very specific. If you're doing, maybe custom deals with all sort of clients, it's just a very flexible solution. Just very nice to have.
So now that Sally had a successful meeting with her prospect, Roger, she's back in the home office and she's basically looking into which lead that she should be contacting next. And through Business Central, she understands quickly which lead that are potentially more urgent or require a little bit more attention, whether there's a special offer that's potentially ending that's attached to them or that's more promising by criteria that are set by your business. And so she's back at home and she's taking a look at what to do next. Guillaume, can you give a closer look into what that actually entails?
Absolutely. Because Taruna, you make a really good point of being able to prioritize leads, because as we mentioned earlier, sales processes, they can get really complex with a lot of information, as you mentioned, that wasn't the same a couple of years back. And so it's very easy to feel overwhelmed. There's so much information, there's so many contacts, so many opportunities or leads. And one of the things that Business Central does really well is that everybody has a landing page. And on this landing page, that's fully customizable. You can add all sort of things, and you can have all your quick links. So quick actions. You can have your graphics. You can have your charts. Anything you need. And so the pictures that you see on the screen right now, they're pictures from the mobile version of what it looks like in terms of a landing page. So you have all these tiles, and by a simple click, you can go into your contact, go into your opportunities. See one of them, it says overdue opportunities in red, so you can color code them or customize them however you want to communicate urgency or importance. And you can also see things like the top 5 opportunities or the sales cycles, and of course all this data you can drill down, right? So you just tap into it and it'll tell you, okay, which opportunity number. It'll take you to the source file with who was it, what's it happened so far. So you can very quickly, with a single tap from your home screen, go into the backbone of the data and say, okay, when did this happen? Get all the context information and be ready to, right there from that menu. For example, if you're in an opportunity, create a call right there from that menu so you can immediately see, okay, this is urgent. I'm going to call them right now. Okay, here we're on a proposal. Let's make sure I review this proposal. So really, it gives you an access to all of your data, really centralized, really accessible, allowing you to do all of the actions without having to dig into 18 different menus. So this really helps you stay focused, and I think that that's a really important feature.
So as Sally is basically evaluating what to do next, she does get an email from Robert asking if he can potentially add 2 more chairs to the quote. The system does tell Sally that there are unfortunately no more of those Model X chairs available, but there are similar Model Y chairs available, enough for the quantity that he requires, which is basically 12. And so Sally proposes to change pretty much immediately, and Robert is happy about the option, and basically approves the quote immediately. And so this is basically all done once again from a single UI system, which Guillaume will tell you a little bit more about.
Exactly as you mentioned, the UI is very it's very smooth. So you can access and edit the quotes directly from the email. You can just edit that, link it back. There's a lot of things you can do to just very easily edit your documents if needed, instead of having to create a new one and send another one or anything of the sort. And this system telling you that the chairs aren't available, that's a really good example of just the data flowing, right? Because from that point, when you know those chairs aren't available, you as the seller, you have a lot of options, right? You can say, find out how long it's going to take to get them delivered to your company so you can sell them, or manufactured if you're making them in-house. You can say, well, this would take too long, and given the delays, we'd like to suggest you, another product. And one of the things that's really cool here is that you can set up your system to have substitution goods, right? So you can choose either one way or two way and say, well, look, it's a black chair, but they might as well, want a yellow chair or a different model chair. And these are kind of the same type of goods that customers are okay changing. So you can configure them to be substitutable. So when there's no black chairs of Model X, you can suggest 12 chairs of Model Y, or you can say that this is only a one-way, and so that the Model Y chairs wouldn't be substitutable for Model X chairs. So you can really have the flexibility here. And what's really nice is making sure that you keep that sales process moving, so that any kind of barrier you might have, you can always find a way to keep the deal alive, keep it moving, and make sure that your client gets that update about the availabilities of chairs or the substitution of products really easily. So I think Daruna, you'll agree with me that Sally can satisfy her client here. Everything's good. Everything's smooth.
Absolutely, and I think what you touched upon an important factor, which we maybe talked about a couple of episodes ago, is the importance of data. Every business has all of this data, but it's seldom given back to the employees in a reasonable time. And so in this instance, Sally was basically able to see almost immediately that 12 chairs were not available in the model that that the quote was originally sent in, and she was able to adapt pretty much immediately because she saw that there was a substitution that was available, and basically updated the quote right then and there, got the approval from Rogers, her lead, and was basically able to move on. And so what usually may have required a couple of back and forth and a couple of days to get the information. She had it at the tip of her fingertip. And so empowering your employees through modern technology is so important. And this is a great example of how Business Central does that.
And we're seeing this just from a very usage perspective, but we're going to look a little bit further into the episode right now. All the things that allows you to do in terms of analytics, because this data isn't just used for daily usage, it's also used for things as predicting inventory and a lot of other cool things. We're going to get into it, but really just the importance of data flow is incredible.
So maybe we did a little bit of a spoiler alert, but Robert did accept the sales quote that Sally had sent her a couple of minutes ago for 12 chairs of Model Y. And so right then and there, Sally can transform her quote into a sales order and send that back for signature or even an e-signature, because who meets people in person nowadays? But since Sally is basically a new employee, her sale is above $3,000. The sale goes directly to her manager for review and approval. And then once her manager, Julie, approves this sales order, she then informs Robert that their purchase can be electronically, or the purchase actually can electronically be paid via PayPal or WordLink or any other tool that your company may be using. And so she basically just sends him a link via email so that they can go on to the next steps. And then once again, I mean, this was almost done simultaneously, or instantly, should I say, rather, because Robert is truly impressed with the customer service that he's getting. He may have been going through some urgent renovations and already has the stress of everything else going on, and so for him to require and to get the chairs sorted in an easy way is truly a good demonstration of customer service. Once again, it's because the data was accessible to the sales rep. And so great brand reputation. Sally is able to provide the customer service that she does want to provide. And then Probark was able to close a new customer for over $3,000. So altogether, I think this is a great win-win-win.
And just again, it's going to be a recurring point, I think, throughout the whole series, because that's really one of the cornerstones that Business Central is built about. But it's really about the ease of usage and making sure that all of the data flows. So as you mentioned, you can easily transform the quote into a sales order. So you can see this on the screen with a simple click. So you're on the sales quote, you get the message, hey, we would like to go ahead with this purchase. One click, all right, convert to a sales order, and it'll create a document for you. It will copy all of the 9 lines you need to, so all the contact information, the item, all of that is just transferred over very easily. And if you've configured automatic approval, you can either request it manually, or you can configure this with a workflow, which is a way to automate your processes. That's very low code, so nothing too technical there, but it allows you to define those parameters. So, when you create a sales order that is above $3,000, I'd like this to go for approval to this other person. And so this is something you can set up for all sorts of processes. This is just an example out of it. And really, this allows you for so much control over how you want your business to operate. For example, including all of these payment solutions, there's a lot of payments that you can integrate with. That's PayPal, WorldLink, other things. You'll see there's a lot of plugins and customization possible with Business Central. So we're giving those examples, but it doesn't mean that those are your only options. You can have so many more, and it's really easy to develop new ones. So this sales order, as you mentioned, Terminage, that it's almost instantaneously. Well, it's kind of true, because you can just easily edit the document. You can immediately send it by email. And I think in a world where sales cycles can be very competitive, really having a very fast and efficient one to really close the deal before another competitor sweeps in is really a key distinguisher in terms of who you'd like to do business with. So I'm just really glad you point that out, because I think this feature is really going to help a lot of companies that want to make their sales process more reactive, really get more wins, close more deals, and just bring better customer service.
Yeah. Guillaume, I think you mean proactive, right? And so we want to move over to the reactiveness of processes and basically have a little bit more of a proactive approach. But I think you've hit upon all the features bang on. So it's great to see this in action. Thank you for showing it.
Absolutely.
So now that the deal was pretty much completed, there is obviously much more information that Julie, Sally's manager, now has access to, and so she can basically understand what went well in this sales process, what could have been improved, and ultimately coach Sally throughout. Many more opportunities as she has access to all of this data. What's also important in terms of coaching your sellers is to understand and to give them guidance and focus. As a seller, especially as a new seller like Sally is, you may not understand completely what to do in a new company. And so having that coaching from your manager that's being driven by data is crucial, because that is so much more relevant for Sally as a sales rep if her manager comes up with actual factual events that had occurred in her past sales, so that she can help improve that. And so in this instance, Julie has access to understanding how Sally can potentially prioritize incoming leads, so which ones potentially are more important than others from a business perspective, and then also how to contact new leads coming in, phone, email, or whatnot. And so I think this is a great demonstration of how Julie can basically tie up the sale and help coach her sellers into a next step.
And what's really important here is that very often, as a sales manager, you might have some of the information, but not the whole picture, and that makes conversation in terms of coaching very difficult when you want to give a lot of feedback, but the sales rep doesn't necessarily believe that you know exactly what happened, and this can be very humanly charged in terms of interaction about how to go about this coaching. And the data here really helps bridge that gap in terms of giving the manager this visibility and the objectiveness of data to say, okay, look, most of the opportunities you've closed, it's because you acted quickly, you acted within 3 days. Some of the opportunities you lost is because you took too long, you took over 7 days, and this is not me that's saying it. We have the data here, and I'm just trying to help you. So it really helps being more objective, which takes a little bit off the edge of giving that coaching. And especially if you're a manager with very large teams, it might be hard to keep track of all this data. How many people have how many sales, how many opportunities, did they react fast enough, did they do the right things, are they doing phone calls or emails or meetings? It can get very overwhelming, and having these analytics to let you dig inside of them, right, and know, okay, well, most of my team actually had phone calls in the morning, and that's what proved to be the most efficient, or they had meetings after lunch, and that's what worked for us. Being able to find all those insights and being able to coach new hires like Sally to improving their sales is really one of the features that you get right from your landing page. So the pictures here, they're directly from the landing page inside Business Central for a sales manager, and you can configure them however you want. You can get different types of data, different types of range, different types of people. So hopefully with this, Julie will be able to coach her team and help Sally improve in areas where she's not doing as well.
So we talked about the importance of data for empowering your own employees, but another way that we can leverage data is to basically showcase all the good stuff that your employees are doing to upper management. And so in this instance, Julie is basically leveraging some of the forecasting capabilities that were collected from Sally's, basically her way of doing sales, and understanding how her pipeline is advancing, so that she can create an accurate forecast for upper management. But not only for upper management, she can also kind of provide some of those insights that Guillaume was referencing to marketing, so that marketing can also understand what are some important campaigns that we potentially want to derive from some of the insights that are being gathered from your salespeople. And so I think what's really important here is that data can empower your employees and empower Sally, and help Julie coach her. But what data can also do is make sure that we can further improve our processes and then report that accurately to upper management. So from the power of data, Julie is now able to basically update upper management on forecast, and help her marketing team also update their campaigns to something that it may be hitting the field a little bit better.
And something that's also super important and really cool about all this data we're getting is that the return on investment in terms of data, it isn't linear, right? So if you have a little bit of data, it might not be very useful because you're not sure how reliable that data is. Does it paint the whole picture? But with all of this data available from everything we've mentioned, from data entry to analytics, it really makes sure that the reporting you're giving to upper management and the information you're giving to your marketing department helps generate more insightful data. And so it's kind of this very virtuous, positive cycle of getting actionable data that gives you more focus, and so you can really get even better data about your targeting. It's just really a very positive circle. So definitely invest in that data.
So Guillaume, how about you just walk us through some of what does that data actually look like? And for upper management or even for Julie, what would potentially be relevant to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things in terms of data analytics that's really nice is built-in reports. So this built-in reports, Drew and I think really get there in terms of what you want to accomplish in terms of reporting. There's a bunch of built-in reports that come out of the box, ready to use, and of course they're customizable. So any type of reporting you need to do to your upper management, you can have all the data that you need. And so here on the screen, you can see some of them. It can be just things that are super simple, like who are your top customers or what are your products that sell the best. Breakdown of who is performing how in terms of sales team, who is best performing and least best performing, right? So all these data are completely built in, and they're also completely integrated with Excel and Word, basically all of Office 365. And so that means that if you're doing a report, you can open it in Word and share it in Word. If you're looking at numbers, you can open it in Excel, edit it, and close it, and the changes will link back up to Business Central. So there's a lot of things you can do just in terms of reporting. Very quick, very easy. Anybody can run the reports as long as their permission is set up for it, of course. And lastly, Power BI, which is the business intelligence solution from Microsoft that is very quick to plug in. You get your account, you connect it, and from there you can do all sorts of graphics, all sorts of reports, dashboard, whatever you need for your marketing team, whatever you need for your executives that might want to get a broader picture. So lots of capabilities, way more than can fit in one video, unfortunately, but just out of the box already the features are really good.
Yeah, I would consider myself a bit of an Excel junkie. I love kind of working out of Excel, but what I absolutely love is the data visualization in Power BI. And so when you're trying to kind of prove a point, when you're trying to build a case for your upper management, or even just trying to understand and how to make sense of potentially big data, because as a company, you may be collecting a lot of data. And so I think that Power BI just helping visualize all of that in something that is actually meaningful, I think is very powerful on its own. And so it's great that it's fully embedded within Business Central as well, so that when you do come up, when we talked about all those home pages, that is basically a bit of a Power BI that's embedded within it. And so it not only gives you the insights that you need, but also helps you basically direct your focus in what's most important. So absolutely love Power BI.
Yeah, anything you need right there. You don't have to switch back to Power BI, as you mentioned, completely embedded. So no more alt tabbing. We'll stick on this page and do everything we need to. And so, Taruna, in terms of all these tools that you might need at a bigger level in terms of executive, we talked about upper management reporting. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, Business Central is a very good general tool, but you might need more specific tools. And I think Dynamics got us covered in a lot of business areas. So I think you had a couple of them that you're familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you've mentioned, Dynamics can really cover all the different needs that a business may have. But let's say in this instance that your upper management wants to understand, how do I increase sales? And it's a very natural question that upper management will ask, and they will ask all the time. And so for you as an employee, you need to understand, if I do invest $1 into a specific scenario, will that generate a good ROI? So then once again, what Business Central provides to you is really, really good data at a minimum. I think actually more than a minimum. But if you want to further expand and basically understand how you can further improve your sales, well, Business Central can be attached to a sales module that will go much more, that will kind of take a bigger deep dive into your sales operations. So it'll have much more features and functionalities that you may not get out of the box from Business Central, so that you can manage the complexities and the processes of your business accordingly. If you do have a bit of a retail store, if you actually have a physical presence, or even if you just have an e-commerce strategy, what's also important is that you are able to kind of pull in that type of data. And so Business Central out of the box can give you a lot of insight, but you can obviously expand that knowledge with a little bit of integration with Dynamics 365 Commerce. And so for that, that's everything to do with your commerce strategy. So if you're looking into increasing your sales, basically improving your efficiencies in commerce could be quite important, whether you have a retail store or not, or just an online store. It's quite important to get that connected as well with your overall strategy. And so, I mean, those are kind of two extensions. We have many, many more. Another one is LinkedIn. And so for businesses, especially selling to other businesses, where can you find a lot of the social information that you may potentially find from a consumer perspective on Facebook or Instagram? The business equivalent of that is LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn has a lot of knowledge and data and access to information. Like, you would potentially be able to know who your prospects are. And so LinkedIn connects so well with all of our Dynamics products, so that you as a salesperson, as an operations person, basically anyone that would need to prospect, can leverage an extension to LinkedIn to gather that information, and basically transform your sales force into a bit more of a hunter versus a farmer approach if needed. But altogether, I think what's important is that whenever your upper management asks if we can do anything, you need to understand that if I invest $1 into an application or into a strategy, what will be the ROI from that? And it's truly understanding how the application can deliver that ROI, is going to be at the center of any decision that you may be making. And so Dynamics will give you that option of further expanding as your business grows.
And I think you touched on something really important, Taruna, which is the takeaway that there's always somewhere you can go, right? And I think this speaks really to what Business Central tries to be, which is, and actually is, being this small and medium business solution, right? So when you're a small or medium business, you might not know where you're headed. There's a lot of uncertainty in the future. Not everybody's an 80-year-old established Fortune 500. Sometimes you still have to figure out where you're going. And sometimes you're afraid, what if I invest in this solution and then I'm stuck? And then I have so much to invest in integrations, or, I can't have enough support, or, I want to pivot in my business and now my ERP or my CRM won't allow me to pursue this strategy. And I think that's the beauty of Business Central, is that not only it is a super solid general solution that can work for almost any type of medium and small business, but it's so versatile. You can customize it in so many ways. So as you mentioned, you can have integrations, and the Dynamics suite is super easy to integrate, very flexible, and there's all sorts of programs. There's Sales Insight if you want deeper insights. You can have things for supply chain management. You can have all sorts of really cool things added to it, and that's just from Dynamics. You can also integrate with so many other things. You can have third-party suppliers, so independent service vendors or solution vendors. They can make their own apps with Power Platform. Get in there and just add a plugin. Do you need, a feature that's not covered in Business Central? Well, you can find that app. You can find that app, connect it, done. We're just like that. And beyond that, you have your standard customization. If you table add a new button, you need to add a field because, on your item card, you want a new dimension that's not available in Business Central right out of the box. Well, there's also that possibility to develop things. You want to automate, there's Power Automate. It's just so incredible to know that doesn't matter which direction you take, you're covered. Somewhere, somehow, I guarantee you there's a way to cover it. So it just really makes me feel safe. I sleep better at night. That's just me, but I sleep better at night.
I think, I mean, as long customization is important, but I think there's a lot of things out of the box that you can just configure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of configuration can be done, a lot of app extensions as well as you outlined. And then if needed, there is the customization
Of
route, but I think
course.
you're going to be satisfied way before reaching that. And that actually is quite important for your agility, I guess, strategy, if I can call it that, which I think has been which I think has actually been at the forefront of a lot of conversations lately, is that how do I basically evolve my business to be a little bit more agile? And the way that you do that is by having a strong foundation and strong technology to support that. That can support your immediate needs, but also your future potential needs in whichever direction that you choose to go.
Mhm.
And so Business Central and Dynamics 365 overall can support your business today and your business tomorrow. So I think hopefully you've kind of understood how powerful it is out of the box, but there's also kind of ways that we can configure this to meet your future needs as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on our toes.
And please subscribe for the next episode because I think you don't want to miss kind of what's happening once this order now has been placed. Sally has done a phenomenal job. How will Robert get his actual 12 chairs? So stay tuned for that. Subscribe so that you can get the notification, and we'll see you then.